Settle down now. Take your seats. Shh. I'm really close, and this next step is crucial, but I can't seem to remember if the lower support arm goes on the top or on the bottom. This is my filing machine. You might recognize it from such popular videos as my last one. Filing machines, sometimes called power filers, are also called die filers, which is German for the filers. And ever since getting this, I've wanted to try it as a power hacksaw. Can any of you guess how many times I've run into a problem and wished I had a power hacksaw? Correct, 0 times. And I'm pretty confident if I get this conversion to work, it'll be quite useless. But that's never stopped me before. Don't see why it should be a problem now. I'll start off with one of these. It's your standard hacksaw blade. This is your classic big box store bimetal saw. It might look bad, but it's still pretty sharp. Though, truth be told, what I'm really looking to do is try one of these. This is a carbide saw, sometimes called a rod saw or a wire saw. It's carbide coated and in theory cuts about anything, though in a hacksaw I've never had much luck with them. That's putting it mildly. From the little I know of this machine, it either came with sawing accessories or you could buy them. I got no such accessories with it, and till now, you've been watching me build my own. Let's break the file and the supports down and have a closer look at what we're working with. I'm not the kind of guy to just show this to anyone, but we're looking under my filer's table. That's the lower support and the file we saw at the top just moments ago. On the top, the file is attached to the support arm via this cat's head style chuck here. 4 screws 90 degrees apart hold and center the file, and 1 screw attaches it to the upper support. Let's just loosen that screw and slide this thing out. There's the upper support, the lower support, and if you had a really short file, it would fit in there. In the machine, this is what it would look like. But as you can see, this is comedically out of frame. What I need are 2 ends, 2 supports that mimic what you might see on a hacksaw. I'm sure we're all familiar with how hacksaws work. Each end has this sort of angled pin that the blade sits over, and then some way to adjust the tension. This has a screw in the back and this sort of lever thing going on. More traditional hacksaws usually have like a wing nut of some kind at the front or the back. So what I need are pin mounts for the saw blade, and then some way to tension it. For those 2 people that have been living under a rock, and specifically for the one who's going to ask a question about it, that second pin that you see on the hacksaw is for flush mounting the blade. So the blade is currently mounted straight, I guess, the way you'd expect it to be in a saw. You can remove it and attach it to the angled pins so that the blade is now at an angle. If you needed to cut something flush, you've got a better chance of pulling it off without busting your knuckles. You can change the blade angle with any hacksaw. If you've got one of those wing nut style, just undo the whole nut and index it 45 or 90 degrees. Sometimes changing the blade angle comes in handy. There are some people out there that like to chain their bikes up really tight. Back to the topic at hand, here are the pinned connections. You watched me make this one. This one is a little more complicated. It replaces the business end on the top support, and this one replaces the bottom support completely. It's just a round of the correct diameter, milled to a little bit past the center line, and a pinned pressed in at about 4 or 5 degrees. These pins will mount the blades on center line, and the tensioning is already done for me in the top support. This has a built-in drawbar. There's a threaded rod inside that keeps that head on. Watch that keyway as I unscrew the drawbar. I just copied this geometry, but added mounts for a saw blade. I also made a little pin key, I don't know what this is called. This started off as just key stock and I machined it to that shape. I'm going to Loctite this in place, but again it should just slip in, allow me to mount the blade and then put it in tension. Whoa, frog went a-courtin' and he did ride, Crambo. Yeah, I suppose that was probably about what I expected. Compared to a bandsaw, pretty useless. Though maybe it might find its place more as a fret saw. Thinner blade, something I could feed through a pre-drilled hole, and do small cuts, I guess, if I need them. Let's see just what a carbide rod saw can do. Hey Jimmy, don't know if you're watching, but can your fancy water jet do this? I think I've made my point. So, as you can see, the die filer speaks for itself.
Someone please help me.
Thanks for watching.